wanted something that was complex, somebody else to do all of this research for me so that I didn't have to listen to another podcast of an Instagram famous doctor talking about the next newest powder I had to incorporate into some smoothie that I'm never going to make. And I just wanted the smart people who have done this for their living for a lifetime to be able to tell me what was going to work for me and then formulate it in a way that was simple and easy to take. And it just didn't exist.
Welcome to Married to the Startup. I'm Alicia McKenzie, a wellness entrepreneur and digital creator. Alongside me is my amazing husband, George, the CEO who's always ready for a new challenge. We've been navigating marriage and running startups for over a decade, and we're here to share the real, unfiltered journey with you. Join us for insights and candid conversations about integrating love, family, and entrepreneurship. This is Married to the Startup, where every day is a new adventure. Welcome to Married to the Startup. Today, we're joined with Elizabeth Zwillinger. She's the co-founder of Biologica, a science-backed women's health company rethinking multivitamins through the lens of hormonal stages. She's a former attorney, a mother of three, and now a founder building a venture-backed company with her husband. So I'm really excited to have her on today. In my late 30s, so I'm 38 years old, and I've had 5 kids. So my hormones for the last 15 years have been up and down, and he can attest, like, we're very open in this house. We have a household full of, so I have 3 daughters, and then my mother lives with us. And when you get close to that time of the month, it is very apparent. We're all just a little bit snappier, but we're very vocal about it. I'm like, all right, where are you in your cycle? And my daughter is like, I am 3 days away from starting my period. And I'm like, all right, we know to be a little bit gentler with her. So yes, I feel that very much. And now that I'm into the personalized medicine, like I go to a doctor quarterly to get my blood work done because I'm like, there has got to be something we can do. It involves 7 different pills and maybe a couple of powders. So like if there's a way that we can simplify this for the general population, like, oh, so necessary. So necessary. So much of women's wellness is reactive, right? You feel like something is off. You go to a doctor, they run some labs. Maybe the labs show something, maybe they don't. And it's a really frustrating process. How is Biologica addressing that need of going from being reactive to proactive?
It's a great question. So we have created formulations that provide you with 2 really important aspects of your overall health. The first is your baseline critical nutritional needs, and that's the foundation of our health. So making sure that we have enough magnesium, for example, in our body, which creates, is part of 300 different biochemical reactions in our body. Making sure we have enough vitamin D. All women in the US, regardless of where you live, are usually deficient in vitamin D levels. These are crucial vitamins that we used to be able to get from food and a healthy diet that we're just not getting anymore, even with really healthy diets. Our soil quality is worsening. We just know that there is not a way to be able to meet all of our nutritional needs through food. So we provide all of those baseline nutritional needs that have been around for hundreds of years. This is not like some brand new formulation of a product that somebody found in the Amazon last week that everyone's really excited about. These are all fundamental nutrients that we know we're deficient in that we've needed for our entire lifespan. So we provide those aspects which help with your just overall health. And then what we do is we layer on top some of these really interesting clinically backed botanicals, like saffron, for example, that really have shown through clinical research to move the needle on some of these acute hormonal symptoms. So it's basically doing 2 things at the same time. It's the fundamental baseline nutritional needs layered on top with some of the more acute hormonal needs. Because what's currently out there is people are addressing their specific need states. Like, I can't sleep. My bones are really achy. I have lost all like vitality in my skin. And they are taking individual products to address those needs, but they're doing that at the expense of their baseline health. And so we're trying to do all of it together in a single formulation.
And you had talked about that you were, I think, in the pantry or the kitchen doing all these mixtures and putting everything together in the morning, and you had that conversation with Joey, who was the doer. So what was can you walk us through that conversation to launching Biologica? Like, what did you guys do and how long did that take?
Sure. So I found myself one day in my pantry mixing all these different pills and powders and feeling super overwhelmed trying to get my kids out the door to miss so they didn't miss the bus for school. And it felt too overwhelming. And it felt like there was a rising anxiety that I was feeling to try and take care of myself. And it felt like all of the onus was suddenly on me to do this. And I'm a caregiver, right? I mean, you guys know you have 5 kids,
Hmm.
right? You are giving of yourself so much to your children. And I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't being forgotten in the process. And it felt like it was becoming too much work to try and take care of myself. And I wanted something that was complex, somebody else to do all of this research for me so that I didn't have to listen to another podcast of an Instagram famous doctor talking about the next newest powder I had to incorporate into some smoothie that I'm never going to make. And I I just wanted the smart people who have done this for their living for a lifetime to be able to tell me what was going to work for me and then formulate it in a way that was simple and easy to take. And it just didn't exist. Other companies were creating multiple pill packs that were trying to get at the same issue. So, okay, great. I can take 7 pills to try and solve the same issue. And then, by the way, if you want to you got to take your protein, you got to take your fiber, like all of a sudden, then it doesn't really solve the problem. And it's just not something that I could keep up with. And so I said to Joey, I said, how come there isn't a business that is putting all of this together, a complex formulation in a simple delivery mechanism? And he said, I don't know. Let's look into it. And he's just, his brain is always going. He's always thinking about ways to make things better. And sometimes it's like at a dinner party, he'll have an idea and it'll just live there and then it'll die there. And other times he will spend the weekend going down a rabbit hole, figuring out, something and then finding a company that does that. And is like, great, somebody does this. But this was an issue that we spent a long time researching and realizing that there wasn't a business that was doing this. And he looked at me. We were actually on a hike one day. We live in Northern California, so our like couple time is hiking and walking with our dogs. And he said to me, he said, "Would you want to do this with me?" And I said to him, "Let me think about it." I was really nervous about agreeing up front what that meant for our marriage, what it meant for our family. But over time, it didn't take me very long, but over the course of a few weeks, I really thought about it and I talked through some concerns I had about starting a business with him. And we worked through all of these issues and he said, let's do this. And so he did the old fashioned way, truly wrote a business plan, talked to experts. I mean, there's no like silver line and there's no like quick silver bullet
Yeah. No
to start
shortcut.
this
Yeah.
business. I mean, it was from the beginning business plan 101 and went out and raised money and built this business from the ground up.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. Like your background in family law, you probably have seen, what happens when things go wrong. So as, taking your time to think about, okay, I'm going to start this new company with my husband. We're both going to be, spouses and then also co-CEOs. So what did you do? Did you put any like safeguards in place of, okay, this is how we're going to turn it off and not be CEO time and it's personal time, or was there anything like that when you were talking to him about how you were going to structure this so it works?
Yeah. So you guys know, right?
Yes.
That when you start a business, there is no end of the workday. It's just constant. It's just part of who you are. And you're always thinking about it. And it's very hard to turn your brain off. So we did this, when Joey was running Allbirds, it was something that was part of our life. He'd come home and he would use me as a confidant to talk about work. And I would help him a lot with just having a different perspective, right? Particularly around human resources issues. He would describe a situation he has with certain employees. And if I knew them sort of from a, friend perspective, but not from a, in a corporate way, I could say, well, I know this person has this sensitivity, or maybe you should think about it from this perspective. Just another way to think about something through someone you trust is really useful. So I was doing that with him every night at dinner. And our kids got used to hearing us talk about work. And it just is part of the fabric of our lives in a really positive way, I think. And so when we were doing this together, we said, we know work is going to be a part of our life in every capacity. But the one thing that we do is during like traditional non-working hours, we will ask permission to talk about work before we launch into it.
Good.
So, if I'm getting ready for bed and I am in bed and I have like my show on and I am ready to curl up and end my day and he wants to talk about work, he'll say, can I talk about work for a minute? And I have the permission to say yes or no.
Hmm.
And same, works in the reverse too. And sometimes, on a Saturday afternoon, I have this really interesting idea and I'm like, I want to talk about work. Is that okay? And he could say no. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll table it for later. The truth is, he says we say no far less frequently than we
That
say
was
yes.
going to be my next question is how
Right. But
often
it
do you
does give you the
actually say
permission.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do sometimes. And for me, at night, I really need that wind down time. And
Yeah.
so if it's like, I know I'm going to be asleep in 15 minutes, there's no way you're going to bring up something that's going to get my adrenaline, cruising. So I do say no more frequently at night, but it's just, you guys know it's part of the fabric of your life.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a positive. And, I think sometimes we can think about work as like, you're always trying to set boundaries, but if you love what you do and you love the people that you work with, it's life-giving in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for
Yeah, I
sure.
think George is a builder at heart. So his mind is always going. And it's the same thing, right? I'm always like, okay, what can we do? Let's do it, right? He's the thinker, I'm the doer. So when you have that kind of dynamic in a relationship, like it could be amazing or it could be really bad. But it's good that you guys have that boundary. Like, okay, I'm going to give you the chance to say no. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope you don't, and then launch into
Yeah.
it. Right.
Right.
And how does that feel for you? So you described like when Joey was running Allbirds, you were involved but more behind the scenes, and now you're like out there. It's both of you out in front. How's that changed for you personally? Is it like, oh my God, this is a great adventure, or ooh, this is a lot?
It's super scary
Yeah.
and I feel really vulnerable. And it's much easier to be behind the scenes. And Monday morning quarterbacking is easier.
Mhm.
So it felt easier for me to sit at the dinner table and offer him suggestions, and then he has to go implement them. Now we're at the dinner table and I'm offering suggestions, and guess who has to implement them? It's me.
Yeah.
And he'll say, "Oh, that's a great idea. Go do it." And that feels it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than I was expecting. Of course, everyone says this who's sitting in an entrepreneurial position. It's more work than I could ever have expected. Even watching my husband go through this exact journey for a decade, still sitting in the seat and actually doing the work is more than I expected. And I didn't go into it, blind. And it's a lot. So that part it's much harder to actually implement these ideas than to just offer critiques. And then the part about being out there and being vulnerable and talking about my own hormonal experiences and how I felt unsupported in this journey that I'm on, as I'm going through my 40s and my estrogen and progesterone are like wildly swinging and I'm out there talking about this in public. That feels both vulnerable and also quite empowering because I'm hearing from so many different women, I feel this too, or I went through this. And so those are kind of the life-giving moments that make the scary, vulnerable pieces worthwhile.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm really curious about the research and development portion of this product because how you're speaking about it, it addresses a lot of different things, but it also pulls in from the holistic side, right? So not only are you evidence based, but you're also a holistic product accomplishing a wide variety of different needs. So how long did it take you to research this project and how do you pull a team together that is able to build this beautiful, like gorgeous product? It's so pretty. The packaging like
Thank you.
you can just put it on your shelf and you're like, "Hey," like, it's just a really pretty product.
Thank you. Well, the idea behind that is that when you leave it out, you remember to take it.
Hmm.
So you don't have to shove it in the back of your pantry and then it expires or you forget about it. So we spent almost 2 years formulating this. We wanted to make sure we got it right. And I knew that the world did not need another supplement company that just pieced together a few different things and threw it out there with pretty branding and a few different claims. We really wanted to make sure that there was a lot of scientific rigor behind the development and that we were addressing the needs of women in each hormonal life stage, not just my particular needs. And so there were a few things we did. First, we did focus groups that I had talked about earlier with different demographics. And secondly, we did 1,000-woman study to ask what their symptoms were that they were feeling, what their health needs were. So we did that piece of it. The second piece is that we assembled an incredible team of experts. And that comes a lot through the clout Joey has as the former founder and CEO of Allbirds. And that is the true benefit of being a second time founder for him is when he makes a call, people answer the phone. So he was able to assemble truly the biggest experts, the most renowned experts in each of these fields, both in the nutritional field, holistic medicine, as you were saying. We have a naturopathic doctor on staff, through medical doctors. So we have OBGYNs and we have a breast cancer surgeon on our medical advisory board, and also from the vitamins and mineral supplement space. So people that are actually chemists who are experts in how our product actually functions once you pour it into water. So what that effervescent system does, both mechanically and within your body. And so through this assembly of experts, we landed on the mechanism, which was going to be a powder format that was effervescent, which is more bioavailable than taking pills and also way more enjoyable. And it's easier to stick with a routine when you actually enjoy taking it versus sort of choking down 7 pills. And it was through those experts and through like a lot of due diligence and 2 years of R&D that we were able to formulate these 3 different products for each hormonal life stage.
And I really wanted to home in on the timeline, because a lot of people think that, okay, I have this great idea for this amazing product. I'm going to develop it really quickly and then launch it into the world. Like, that's not how this actually works. So from the time you had the idea of Biologica to the time you got MVP and a product that people could actually test, how long was that?
2 years.
Okay. So from the birth of the
Um,
idea to the actual product being done, 2 years.
Yeah, and I can tell you that there was a rush at the end, like
Mhm.
there always is with every consumer product, so that the formulation was most of those 2 years, right? Finding the right experts, finding what you want to put in it, sampling, trying, finding co-manufacturers. Our co-manufacturer is in Utah, but we interviewed a bunch of different ones to make sure there was adequate third-party testing, the safety, regiment was in place. We also include probiotics in our formulation, which makes the physical piece of making the sachets very challenging because of the active spores we have
Yeah.
in them. So they're the safety requirements in our co-manufacturer are much higher than they would be if we didn't include probiotics. And throughout this journey, people kept saying to us, experts in the field, why don't you just do pills? It's going to be easier. And we decided that we were just going to keep on this track and not take the easy way out, which is what other companies do, because I felt so strongly that I didn't want to create another pill pack. And we doubled down on the R&D to make sure that this was a beverage that was delicious and that people wanted to take, and that took extra long. The other component is that our flavor house, which creates the really sophisticated flavors for Biologica's formulations, is in Europe. And their timeline for working, particularly over the month of August, is different than ours.
Holiday.
Right. So that slows down a lot too. But I was really committed to using this flavor house because the flavors they create are from the fruits, literally from the fields. And they have their own farms that they use to create these flavors. And so, for example, like the cranberry lemonade flavor that we have for Biologica, which is the crowd pleaser, comes from cranberries that are grown in farms. And that's where the sweetness, that's where the taste comes from. So we don't have to load up our formulation with all this extra sugar or fake
Stevia
sugars or
yeah.
all this gross stuff, because the flavor comes from fruit. And that's what really shines when you taste it. And that comes from really committed, sophisticated flavor houses based in Europe that don't like to work in August.
Yeah, I thought it's especially great for the audience when a lot of people talk about, to Alicia's point, wanting to start a company and launch it, 3 weeks later. And then the same time, a lot of people get stuck in a rut where you have a great idea and you think your idea is amazing, but you don't go out and stress test the idea in a larger environment. So the fact that what you're saying is like, it's perfect for founders to know is you got to go out, you got to do those, blind survey, the tests, you got to talk to people, talk to experts, understand, stress test your idea, and then see, does it really address a need in the marketplace? And if so, make sure I've, really rounded the edges on what the idea is, not just me and my personal experience, but everybody's experience.
Absolutely. And I can tell you a helpful piece of that for us in this business, and Joey will say this, is Joey, as a man, has no lived experience
Exactly.
of what I'm feeling. So what he has to do is he has to listen extra diligently to both me, which is amazing as his wife, I'll tell you, but also to every woman that we interviewed, whether it was in a qualitative focus group or in these quantitative surveys that we did with 1,000 women. He really has to listen to their experience, which makes him a better founder than when he's developing a product just for himself. Because when you're developing a product just for yourself, you fall into the trap of this is what I want, this
Mhm.
is what I like, I'm going to do it. Instead of listening to everybody else and saying, what do they need? What do they want? And so he really guided this process to listen. And as I said, like it's so much easier when you know how you feel, but that's a trap. And it's been useful to have a male founder in a female, women's health in the women's health space.
Absolutely. So, where do you see the personalized nutrition space in 3 to 5 years? And how does Biologica stay ahead of that curve?
So I think we're a counterpoint to some of this personalized nutrition because, first of all, there's an access issue. And I feel really strongly that not everybody can afford either the time or the money to go out and get quarterly blood draws and have a functional health doctor, a concierge doctor, and that the average American woman wants something simple that takes care of most of her needs. And so the truth is that Biologica probably satisfies about 80% of what you might need. And if you want to do quarterly blood draws and get a specialized medicine doctor to help you fill the other 20%, that's great, but that's not accessible to most people. So that's one piece of it. The second piece, I think, on personalized medicine is it does create health anxieties for a lot of women. And I'm very wary of that. And I felt that I'm not doing enough. What am I missing? And so there is something about creating a single solution that is going to be good enough. So we're talking about not perfection, but that it's good enough that I'm going to actually take it every day. And that's so much more valuable to have a routine that is doable, that you take every day that you're consistent with, versus a perfect routine that requires a lot of time, a lot of money, might amp up some of these health anxieties, and is not something that you end up sticking with. So I think that Biologica is really a counterpoint to thinking about where personalized medicine is going in 5 years and how you can craft a routine that is very specific to you. We're more similar than we're different in our nutritional needs as women, particularly within our hormonal life stage. And so I hesitate to promote one way of addressing health needs because I don't think it really applies for everybody.
Absolutely. And I saw something yesterday on social media and I try not to scroll, but it was a woman sharing her 100% sleep score on one of these biohacking. I think it was it wasn't the ring.
Whoop.
There you go. It was the Whoop band. So it was 100% sleep score. But in order to get that, she had like a 4:30 a.m. wake up time and no more caffeine after 9 a.m. and like a 7 p.m. bedtime. And I'm like, you obviously don't have children, lady. Like, that is not the norm for, like you said, 80% of the female population. And it makes me sad that people are looking at this content and trying to live up to it, right? Like, I need to be doing this and I need to do this and the jiggle plates and the red light and all the things. I love that you are trying to simplify this for a majority of the women and that if you are between this age and this age, you take the green box. If you're between this age and this age, you take the maroon box. Like it makes me happy that there is something out there that is just easy. Like we just want it to be easy.
Well, the truth is that from talking to women, they're not trying to be involved in the biohacking space. They're not trying to protein max, fiber max, all of this competitive health outcomes feels very masculine and it's not really what most women are interested in. They just want to feel like themselves.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you're not trying to wake up at 4:30 in the morning so that you can have a 100% sleep score. You just want to feel like yourself so that you can go on and do the things you love, whether that's through your work or through your caregiving or through your hobbies or your friendships or your travel, whatever that is. And so Biologica gives you that foundational health so you can feel like yourself in a simple format that you want to take every day. And then you can move on with your life.
Yeah, and I think you had talked about, and I'm I'll say I'm not as educated on the women's health as Joey is. So I'm
Sh-
not as well rounded of a guy
Shocker.
yet. But
There's still time. There's
yeah, there's
still
still
time.
time. So you talked about developing this product and be able to handle the full, I guess, life cycle of women's hormonal health. So are you looking to do you have a product line that addresses like puberty, or is that where you're going? And if so, what does it look like for Biologica in the next 18 months?
That's a great question. So what we found through these 2 years of R&D is that where you are in your hormonal life stage is the biggest driver of your overall health. So hormones are not just about mood, right? In our culture, we talk about, oh, she's so hormonal as like that's something having to do with moodiness. When hormones equals mood, in the way that we've used that word, when really hormones, the beautiful symphony of hormones in our life control everything in our bodies, whether it's our cardiac health or our brain health or our bone health or our ligament, laxity. It's all related to our hormones. And so where you are in your hormonal life stage impacts so many other systems in our body. There are 5 hormonal life stages: infancy, puberty, reproductive, perimenopausal, postmenopausal. So those are the scientific terms for hormonal life stages. And so Biologica covers 3 of those. And so I think, infancy obviously we'll take out.
Mhm.
But puberty is a really interesting expansion. And then the other part of that's like a unique hormonal life stage is pregnancy. And that is sort of a separate from those 5 life stages, because obviously not every woman will go through that, and every woman will go through all of the other stages. But if you are pregnant, that is a kind of an additional bonus life stage that you get to experience. And so I would say there's probably 6. And looking at the supplemental nutritional needs, both for adolescents and for pregnant women, are unique. And our formulas currently don't address those particular needs. So, yeah, that would be a really interesting place for expansion. That said, like, I feel really strongly, Alicia, as you were saying, like, it's so clear on our website. If you're, in your reproductive cycling years, we have one product for you. 2 flavors, one product. Let's simplify it. We're not adding on 15 other different boosters to overcomplicate, because those products already exist. And that's what creates this feeling of overwhelm. So we still really want to make sure that we nail those 3 original products in a way that makes women feel good, feel like themselves again before we look into expansion.
I love
Great. Yeah.
it.
Keep it simple. It's a great business philosophy as well as life. Like if you can make it easy, then you'll do it. And just doing it will make you 80% better.
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of ways we can expand on flavors, for
Yes.
example, and I'm always open to ideas for flavors, because that's where the experiential innovation comes in, and people have different perspectives. And it's like, great, we'll launch a new flavor based on what we're hearing from our customers, and that's a great way to keep things exciting without totally reinventing, a new product line to overcomplicate.
So you're relatively new. I think you launched in December, correct?
Yep.
What
Yeah.
has the initial feedback been like for Biologica? Is it what you expected? Is it better than you expected? Is it worse than you expected?
So when you launch a product where you have 3 different life stages that you cover, from reproductive age all the way through to the end of your life, you don't know who you're going to resonate with the most, right? So truly all women 18 and older, we have one product for them. And what's been most surprising to us is that we really resonated most strongly with women who are postmenopausal. And we're not reading too much into this early data because it's early, right? And a lot of it has to do with like influencers and which influencers are working and which ones aren't, and and who resonates with who. But um I think women who are postmenopausal, my hunch is that they feel like they've been ignored and not spoken to, and a lot of products they feel like aren't made for them. And we have one incredible ingredient in our postmenopausal product called hobamine, which is a botanical coming from buckwheat. And it's like this super antioxidant, and it's amazing for cellular regeneration. And we've been promoting it, like, I believe so strongly in that science of hobamine. And I think that the combination of trying to take all of your daily vitamins, condense it into a single drink, plus this added benefit of this like amazing antioxidant for cellular regeneration has really resonated with that demographic. And those women, I think, are also really used to taking 7, 10 pills, right? Their vitamin D, their C, their magnesium. And so to do it in one delicious beverage is very appealing. So that's been interesting, is seeing how our product has really resonated with that age demographic.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna go get it for my
I was about
mom.
to say, Ray could use it. So is that
A lot of
reflective?
people have said that to us. It's a great gift.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do this really interesting Mother's Day campaign
Ooh.
because what are you going to get your mom, right? We're always looking for something, and she doesn't need like, a book
Yeah.
or a scarf. She wants good health. And so I think to give your mom a Biologica set, we're going to make these really beautiful gift bags that are like 2 flavors plus this gorgeous candle that fits into the tin once the sachets are done. It's like this beautiful gift that's like, Mom, I care about you. And this is formulated for your age, for what you need right now. And I want you to live a really long, prosperous life. So happy Mother's Day.
Oh, it's a
That,
great
and we
pitch.
we
You
all
should
have
wrap that
that
up.
like one friend that refuses to take any vitamins. I'm gonna get this for her. This is going to Lexi.
Oh, good. Yeah. So was that reflective at all of the data that you got from your studies, or was it completely out of left field?
Well, the data we got from our studies is that women in each of these different age demographics have unique needs.
Okay.
And so, for example, in the postmenopausal group, they're really concerned, rightfully so, with bone health
Mhm.
and maintaining muscle mass that protects the bones. But they're less symptomatic generally than a woman from their hormones than the woman going through perimenopause, because most of them have lived without estrogen for quite a long time. Or some of them, as our culture has changed and some of the medicine, the research behind this has changed, they're using hormonal therapy to help mitigate some of those symptoms. So they're looking more for longevity, but not in the way that like biohackers think about longevity, like, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, but they're wanting to, be strong for their grandkids and make sure that their brain health is they're doing as what they can for their brain health so that they're not at risk for dementia, which we know for women is much higher risk than for men. So I just think that there's not that a lot of brands overlook that demographic of women who are, in their 60s and 70s, who feel like their health matters too, and no one's talking to them.
Yeah. And just that the product itself is really unique in the sense that it's a powder form, right? Like I saw somebody pushing another one of these well-known pill form multivitamins, and I'm like, I don't want it. Like skip. Right. But like this,
There's a lot of that
there's
out
a
there.
lot
Yeah.
of that. But this is a product that will stop
Yeah.
you in your tracks. And you're like, oh, right. It creates that curiosity aspect. Like, okay, this is different. Powder, effervescent, tastes kind of good, looks beautiful. Let's check it out. And then you find out that it is founded for women by women, right? That's what locked me in. I'm a girl's girl. If you're a woman and you founded a company, like I will absolutely, let's do this, right?
I love it. Well, also our nutritional needs are so different than men, right? And people have been saying like women are not small men. We have totally different nutritional needs. We weren't included in research studies until the 1993, because a lot of researchers said, "Oh, well, our menstrual cycle makes our bodies too unpredictable to do research on." So a lot of products aren't made for women. A perfect example of this are electrolytes. Everyone is taking an electrolyte right now. And some of them have 1,000 milligrams of sodium in them,
Yeah.
which is way too much for the average woman. And that works for a man running a triathlon, a 250-pound man running a triathlon, or somebody on 105, it's 105 degrees outside. But otherwise, that's not great for your blood pressure as a woman. And so we formulate everything, including the electrolytes we have in our formulation. We have sodium and potassium, which creates that effervescence in our formulation, but that also is the electrolyte. But that's at a dosage that women can tolerate and are good for women's heart, and not just a 250-pound man, which is just totally different biological needs.
Yeah,
So I think a
absolutely.
product that's formulated for women, that's branded to look like it's for women, that's made by women for women is, there's space there for sure.
Definitely. And then you won't have people coming to you be like, I'm so bloated. Why am I so bloated? Because you're taking 2,000 milligrams of sodium a day and you're retaining water. Shocker.
Yeah, I know. But it tastes, people love the salt and it tastes good and you feel like you're doing something for your health.
Of course.
So
Of course.
it's a big educational gap.
You're 2 years into this thing, maybe a little over it. How has it been working with your husband?
So it depends on the day. It's in general, it's been really wonderful. It just integrated seamlessly into how we operate as a couple. We spend so much time together. It's astonishing. Do you guys feel like that? I
So
can see the way
much
you're looking at
we
it.
get that a lot where it's like, is it weird that we spend so much time together? Like a lot of our friend group have like, oh, one person goes on guys trips and girls trips. And they're like, we don't really do that. Is that, are we the weird ones or is everybody else weird?
Yeah, I think we're the weird ones. You guys, us, we're the weird ones. But I think, our anniversary was in September. We were driving into the city for dinner. And I turned to Joey and I said, do you remember when our kids were really little and we'd have to go, and you were working full time at Allbirds in the city and we'd have to go for dinner to finish a sentence together, finish a conversation. I'm like, now I have nothing to talk to you about. Like, we spent all day together. We had lunch together. We had lunch together yesterday. Like, why are we going out for dinner? So that part is really nice that we spend so much time together and it feels like we can tackle some of the issues that come up in the business. We have so much time to do that. And then we can also manage family logistics. I mean, you guys know with 5 kids, there's someone that needs to be driven somewhere at some time, always.
Yep.
And so we do this morning walk where we like reset for the day and we say, who's doing what. And that includes work and family.
Yeah.
And we could sort of do it all together. But yeah, it's a lot of time. And Joey is actually I'm going on a work trip. I leave early. I'm going a little bit early so I can see my mom in Florida on Saturday. And he's going on a guy's trip the following
There you
weekend.
go.
So we are trying to integrate a little bit more
Alone time.
separate time together,
Right.
but we don't do it as much as people think we should.
You have to be very intentional or else you would be together all the time. All the
Yes.
time, right?
Yep.
Like he's doing the same thing. He's trying to like do a guy's dinner, right? Like
Yeah.
get away, leave the house. Go walk outside.
It's so
But
easy to get caught up.
at the end of the day, it's such a blessing, right?
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
we've picked partners that you want to spend time with. And I don't take that for granted. And I look at my previous life as a divorce lawyer, like I know what the other side looks like, but it feels like a huge blessing in my life that I found this person that I can do it all with.
Do it all. You can do life with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, having done the Allbirds thing first and then having this as kind of like the second business, was there a lot of lessons learned out of that you took into this one? I mean, I know personally, like having run several companies now and taking them to acquisition, you learn something every time and then you're like, I'll never do that
Yeah.
again. I'll never
Yeah.
do that again.
So yeah, and he'll say, people often will ask like, what's easier the second time around? And his answer is always nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is easier a second time around. It's hard no matter when you do it. But I do think that beyond, the fact that it's just hard, no matter whether you're a first-time founder or a fifth-time founder, there are some battle wounds that he has having done this before. And one big one is to make sure that we're staying direct to consumer until we can really make sure that our product is exactly what our customer needs, both in terms of the format, the flavor, packaging, all of it before we branch out into retail. And so we're really diligent and methodical about that piece of growing the business. And so we're going to grow internally, through direct to consumer first and make sure we have really strong fundamentals and a strong foundation on the operational side and also on the product side before we start launching in stores. So I think that's a big lesson that he learned.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to move on to the fun part. This is our rapid fire section.
Love this. Okay.
All right. What was the last thing you put on your credit card?
Oh my goodness. My Costco run. I do a weekly Costco run and I spend a lot of money there. And it is like I say, when the world feels really out of control, I feel at peace when my fridge is full. And I feel like I'm ready for anything. Anybody can come over. Anyone's mom can walk in the door picking them up from a play date and I can feed her and I can feed the little kid who's coming in behind her. And I feel at peace when my fridge is full. And so we just got back from vacation last week. I had an empty fridge and I was like, it's got to be full.
Yeah.
So I do my Costco runs.
Love it. What is a business decision that your spouse thought was crazy at the time, but actually worked out well?
We're thinking originally about doing this product as a tablet, like you would do an Alka-Seltzer,
Mhm.
Oh,
because that's very popular in Europe as a way to deliver even pharmaceuticals, right? So even prescription-based pharmaceuticals come in those tablets that dissolve in water. And he really wanted to do that because it's really portable, and we had the original tin design was much smaller, and it was really portable to do the tablets. But when we actually went into R&D on that, we realized that in order to compress as many ingredients as we wanted in the tablet, it was going to take a very long time for the tablet to dissolve because you were trying to pack in so much, and we really didn't want to make any exceptions on the ingredients that we were offering for women in our formulation. We didn't want to cut any corners. And so we realized that at the end of the day, it had to be in a sachet. And I felt like, okay, it's fine. Doesn't it? It's an extra layer of packaging, but we tried to take out as much plastic from the supply chain as possible. But it meant that we could get everything we needed in there and not make sacrifices in the formulation for the form factor. And so that's why we switched form factors. But he thought this was crazy because the original idea felt so differentiated.
Yeah.
And turns out women are completely fine opening up a sachet and pouring it into water.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, they just want the complete formula, not the really innovative Alka-Seltzer. But how cool would that have been?
That
would have
marketing
been,
that
yes.
would have been
sort of-
awesome.
Yeah, I know. You can't have it both ways,
I
right?
know,
The amazing form factor that looks great on Instagram and the, getting everything you need.
Okay. If you could uninvent one piece of technology, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, this is so obvious, but for my kids, it's the damn iPad Roblox.
Oh, yes.
I thought that our credit card got hacked. I called our credit card company and I said, we have fraud. I have all of these charges from Apple. $39.99, $39.99, $39.99. And I realized when my 8-year-old son came up with like tears in his eyes, he said, I was taking it from my gift from Gaga, my mother, that's what they call her, Gaga. He had $30 gift card to Amazon that he got for his birthday that he thought he was spending. Meanwhile, hundreds of dollars later, Roblox, they were sending their receipts to his email address. He's 8. He doesn't have an email. He doesn't check his email.
Yeah.
And all of the other Apple receipts come to my husband's email, and somehow they were going to his email. And I'm like, I just am so sad for him. And I explained to him, it's built to trick you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It's
in-app
built to
purchasing
trick
for
your-
8-year-olds is ridiculous.
Yes. And I feel so badly for him. He was sobbing. He was so upset. And, we worked out a system where it's like part his allowance, part we're going to we're going to bail him out a little bit, but it's a lesson. And it's, I wish that some of that really addictive technology for the youngest kids we could get rid of.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. The worst piece of advice you've ever received.
Don't marry someone better looking than you.
Oh.
I didn't follow that advice either. I'm good.
That's my mother. Oh man, I wish my mother has had lots of interesting advice. No, I think the advice about just like taking things slow and building a nest egg, and that came from my parents. And I think in a lot of ways, this like slow and deliberate can have a lot of negative consequences, which is that you don't take risks. And there's a difference between taking a wild risk and taking a calculated risk. And I married somebody who takes calculated risks, and that's both in business and in our life. And I think that I was raised to be very risk adverse, and it has been such a joy to be with somebody who is willing to take calculated risks. And I can see how he teaches our kids to do those. And I'm learning to like shut my mouth and not say, watch out, be careful, so that they learn that like jumping from a ledge that's 6 feet up is going to be okay. And that teaches them that that's a calculated risk that's worth taking and not always hovering. And so I think that just sort of slow and steady methodical can sometimes backfire and can keep you really constrained.
And last but not least, where can people find you and your product? How can they connect?
So you can find our product on biologica.com. And you can find me on Instagram. As Alicia, as you know, like I am prolific on my DMs. I love to connect with customers. And people are DMing me all the time asking about which formulation is right for them or which product they should take or, what flavors are coming out. And so I love connecting with people. You can find me on our website. You can reach out to me. Actually, we have a card that comes with our product that has my personal email address on it. And so I love hearing from people and hearing their suggestions because truly this company is built for women. And so we're super open to feedback. You can find us on biologica.com or reach out to me personally.
Amazing. And last piece that I just want to mention that is when I first saw your product, I was like, oh, okay. I often tell people that I'm my husband's age and I ordered the burgundy box because in my mind, I'm 48 years old. I'm not 48. He's 10 years older than
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
we've been together.
Own your 30s.
Yeah.
Own your 30s. You're
It's
still
just,
there.
we've been together so long that I'm now like using his pin code on my
Uh-huh.
phone, and I'm like, well, wait, I'm not 38. Or 48. I'm still of childbearing age. You're old.
Yes, I'm old.
Okay, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. I know you're in California. We're on the East Coast, but I truly appreciate your time, and your product is beautiful. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was so nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah, you as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Married to the Startup. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and keeps the conversation going. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, drop me a message. I love hearing from you guys. Until next time.